You're right. Look, no sound. I got down that far. So you missed it. I said all the important stuff and you've missed all of it. Like I say, like I say, you didn't hear me. I'm having some weird stuff going on with my browser where it seems to be clicking weird things. So it's fine. Yep. I'm a sound engineer. Yep. No sound must be. Yeah, I won't read that out loud. Hopefully you can hear me now. I'm going to keep scrolling down. There you are. Got it. Thanks. Yep. Back. Yeah. Good. Okay. Great. Perfect. Did I hit some of the new mute group keys by mistake? Thanks, Simone. That's very kind of you. No, I'm just an idiot. There was a little thing here telling me I was muted, and I didn't click on it. What a wally. Okay, great. So what I was saying when you couldn't hear me, unless any of you were really good at lip reading, is that we have some exciting news. We are going to be looking at 1.2 today. I'm going to take it easy. It's pretty chill. It's a warm day. If there are any problems with my browser, I will reschedule this. But hang on in there. It's just doing. I don't know what it's doing. I think Windows wants to update. You know how it is. You're at the beginning of a gig, and then updates pop up. So what have we got for you? We've got all of the new features. I'm going to go through. I'm not going to go through MIDI completely today. I'll give you an overview and show you where to get the documentation. We've got DCAs. We've got effects on PQ on effects, even get it the right way around. Some output stuff, yeah, and custom layer as well. I thought I'd start off actually by showing you this because this has come through recently, which is very cool. This is the deck saver for CQ. Just pops on there, lovely. Let's test that. So just sits over the top there. Protects your screen, which is great because we always intended this as a kind of backpack mixer. We've got cases available, of course, and that can work with the case. You can wedge that in with the foam on top. But yeah, it just gives you a bit more protection. Big question is, where can I get one of those T-shirts? Hey, you haven't seen the back of this T-shirt. It's really cool. Look. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, you can't get these. They're made by hand. By can't lip read accents, says Jonathan. That's my Cornish accent, is it? Good reason to avoid words. Yeah, I will. Will this be on YouTube also? Yes, it will, Andre. Turn DCAs up. Yeah, all right. I'm sorry, you messed up. Okay, so let's start off with something that might catch you guys out. We'll do a few of the little things. There's been some legal changes that we had to make, which is very sad because we had to change some of the network stuff. So by default, this is a hard reset unit. If I go into my config control and network, this is an 18T. You'll see the default. So if you do a hard reset now, the default will be Ethernet. And if you want to set the password or set up your Wi-Fi, you have to go in and you have to set a password. So there's nothing set at the moment. And if you hit apply, it will say, no, set a password. It can be anything you want, but you have to set it. And that's just to make it more secure, which is a little bit of a pain, but I think it's fine. I think, we all agree it's nice to have secure network stuff. The reason it's sad is because I always found it highly amusing that our default password was default password. And we can't have that anymore. So never mind. Okay, another little thing. There's a tiny wee little thing here. Oh, look at that, little lock. So you can lock your screen. So the idea behind the lock, I know some people have said, well, hang on, you can't set a password or anything. It's more of a deterrent, and it's, if you're gigging and you put it by the side of the stage, people wander past and they go, oh, faders, yeah, cool, yeah, that's funny. What does this one do? So it really just, those kind of people are going to go, it's locked. It also stops on the 18 any of these from being used. So any of the rotaries, which you can't see, just off to the side there, and none of the buttons do anything either. So none of the soft keys are working, none of the rotaries are working. Stops accidental mistakes and idiots, basically, messing with your desk. Tiny one, quickly, is with Quick Start. So with Quick Start now, it will jump you to, let's go, rock. Let's use rock. So if I do recall, the first thing I'm going to do when I do a Quick Start is go to the config screen anyway. So hey, It now takes you straight to the config screen. Huzzah! So that's a nice little improvement there. I'm just trying to pick out some of the stuff that you might not have seen because there's some pretty exciting stuff coming up. Let's see if there's any questions so far, other than where'd you get my T-shirt? And this is the only one. Sorry. Custom layers are a game changer. Yeah, thanks for the update, Keith. Don't thank me. I didn't do all the work. I'm just a ginger idiot here telling you about it. You can thank R&D. They did all the work. Vance says, thanks for version 1.2. No worry. No worries. Kate says, most people with a smartphone will try and access anyway and get in because there's no code. Yeah, you can set it to be open if you really, really want to, but don't do that. Set it to be hidden so that people aren't just sitting there trying to get into it. Yes, it's still visible if you use a scanner. I know. Jonathan's been waiting for this update and is going to jump onto CQ18T. Good news. Can you still use the iPad app when CQ is locked? Richard says. Yes, you can, Richard. So this is more about locking the surface. Oh, I shouldn't click on things. That might stay up there for the rest of the stream now because I don't know what's going on with this interface. Oh, it's gone. All right then. Does this mean you have to have an external router to access the CQ20 in default mode since it defaults to Ethernet? No, Nick, you don't have to. You can set it, as I was just showing there. You can set it to still be Wi-Fi access point. So you can just set that up, and you just need to give it a password. And my super secure password, I need 8 characters. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can set it to be hidden. You can set it to be 5 gig, and you can set it up as normal, if you like, as it was before. But saying that, by default on the 18T, it's Ethernet. By default on the 20B, it's Wi-Fi, and it'll prompt you to set a password as soon as you first log in. So if it's in a factory reset state, it'll prompt you for a password. One of the other improvements we made with the CQ20B, and I think Nick might have mentioned this online, actually, so this one might be for you. We have set it so that the reset button, at any time, if you just tap the reset button, it will switch modes. And it'll flash a couple of times to tell you which mode it's in. So it flashes blue if it's in Wi-Fi mode, and it'll flash yellow a few times if it's in Ethernet mode. But yeah, it just means that you can switch on the fly. For example, you use an external router and the basis jumps on it. I don't know. And you need to switch to the built-in Wi-Fi or whatever happens. You can switch mode really easily on the fly. But just tap it, because obviously there are resets and stuff in there. So just tap it and it will switch mode. Could you put this live stream out as a video after you've done? Yes, it will be recorded, even all the bit at the beginning when I was muted looking like an idiot. That is now there for all time for posterity. Awesome. Custom heads and mute group. Brilliant. I love security if possible. Any possibility of SQ rack? Oh, that's an interesting idea. Sorry, I shouldn't be so mean. That does come up. Yeah, I mean, there's possibilities for sure. Is this a better unit than another unit from another manufacturer? Try it out, find out, make your own mind up. I mean, we make an offering. I'm not going to say this is well. No, I'm just not going to make any comment. But try it out yourself. What else we got? Even if Flux on there try and get in, as they won't expect it to be that easy, says Katie. Yeah, you're right. They will. They always do. How do you connect? How would you connect MIDI equipment to the mixer? Says Adam. Yeah, that's something. Like I say, I won't probably get onto the in-depth MIDI stuff today. It needs a little bit more of a setup and a little bit more of an in-depth explanation. But I will show you where you can find the MIDI protocol and have a read through and have a play. The other thing is, if you're into MIDI and you know of the Bonebox, there will be a Bonebox update, I believe, to support CQ as well. And that will mean that you could connect up an external controller to the Bonebox and then connect the Bonebox to the CQ, actually wirelessly, I believe, which is pretty cool because the Bonebox has got Wi-Fi built in. Right, how does the Wi-Fi set work? The new firmware and the view. Okay, I think I explained that one. Maybe I'm a bit behind, but Mike, in case you didn't hear, I will repeat. So the Wi-Fi setup on the 20B without built-in touchscreen, Ethernet setup to first. It's it will be in Wi-Fi mode when it's in a default like hard reset or out of the box if you've got a brand new one. And then you'll connect up and it will say, hey, you need to set a password right now because this mixer is not secure. So before you can do anything else, it will just get you to set a password. Set that password. It will reboot, obviously, to apply the password. Then you can just reconnect to the network of the 20B and you can crack on. Don't talk about other brands. I'm not going to comment on other brands, Robin. I'm not going to. No. Yes, I did. Yes, Nick did. Nick did say about the reset thing. Brilliant. All right. I'm getting carried away. Let's get stuck in with a few more of the features of 1.2. Sorry, I will try and get back through some of your questions. I keep asking them. It's great. All right. So let's have a look at outputs because there's a few things here that are cool. So output coloring. I know right from the off we wanted to have output colors, and there is kind of a simple but weird reason that we didn't, and it was because it got confusing. So I'll show you this. Let's set the output 3. Let's set the name and color. That one's going to be Bob. Oh, Bob. And Bob's going to be green. Excellent. Okay, so I can now color that output, but where it got a bit confusing before launch, basically, was that this background color here changes when you select a different output. So if I select Bob now, you'll see the background goes green. So whereas before it would be green over here, and then this bit would be like a blue to show that you're in a mix, and these colors would be something else, and it just looked wacky, really wacky. So the way we've got it set up now means that I can change that color and say, okay, it's going to be orange. Get back in here. Now it's kind of orange. It doesn't show up very well on the screen actually, but yeah, that's the reason. Let's get back over there. Put that one in yellow. There you go. Lovely yellow. And these are actually a slightly different color to everything else as well. Let's find something else that's yellow. No, of course there's nothing yellow. Let's do 12. We'll put 12 yellow. Okay. So they're a slightly different color as well, so you can see that you're still in a mix that's slightly darker. Another thing in outputs, which is very cool actually, is we've added an output source point. So previously, by default, all the outputs were sourced post EQ from the inputs. So that's the signal coming into the input channel and then going out to the output was post EQ pre-comp. And the reason for that is when you're monitoring on stage, generally people don't want to hear any of the compression that's being applied on the input channel because they want to be able to play to their dynamics. Otherwise, everything's just squished. So you have compression on your front of house mix and all the monitors are kind of more dynamic. But sometimes you might want to use those aux outs or outputs on the CQ for different things, in which case you can set it to be post-comp. And that'll be useful for stuff like streaming, if you wanted to set up a separate streaming mix, or for fill speakers, or for like an aux-fed sub setup, if you're using one of the outputs to feed a sub separately, so you've got separate control. Yeah, so that's a cool little feature that we've managed to add in for 1.2. Let's see if there's any questions on that for a second. And is this is a question that comes up quite a bit actually, so I'm going to answer that. Does the iPad still disconnect if you flick over to another app on the iPad then back? Yes, it does. So if you put any apps in the background on iOS that are using up network, the app will actually shut them down. So there's potentially workarounds for it, which are very hacky, and you're kind of you're basically breaking it and hacking it to make it stay connected in the background. But what it's doing is saving power by shutting down the network connection. And that is an active network connection because obviously all the metering's coming through. So yes, if you do stick something in the background, it will shut down the network connection, which then means that the app has disconnected. And when you go back to it, you will reconnect. However, we are looking at ways where you might be able to reconnect faster. So instead of going through the whole process again, it might store your settings like we do on SQ. Doug said, with the C platform, Oh, my fader because the platform had 8 stereo faders. That's I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but would it allow more stereo faders with dual pre-inputs for keyboard? Could the platform allow 8 stereo faders like that? Yes, actually, I think I'm right in the way I'm understanding that. I'm just talking weird today. You can stereo up some channels. So let's go back and do another quick start. Let's just do all quick. That'll be fine. Okay, you can go through and you can stereo link these. And when I stereo link, so 1 and 2 are stereo linked, that actually pairs them together in the rest of the mixer. So now I have got those on a single fader. With custom layer, I could then stack these all up. So yes, you can, and I will show you about the custom layer a bit later. But yeah, you can make lots of these stereo if you want. So yeah, you could have a whole bunch of stereo inputs. That's a really good question. Thanks very much. Can Ethernet and Wi-Fi be active at the same time? No, they can't, Dean. The reason for that is security. So it was to do with, and we did debate, can we get them active at the same time? Can we have a bridge over those networks? But the problem is, if you did have it open, or you set a password like me, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and people could maybe hack into it, then if the network was bridged, and say it was in a educational facility or a business or a whatever it might be, and it might be sat there most of the time, someone could leave the Wi-Fi on in that case and connect into the network, even though the other network is secure, using the Wi-Fi on the CQ. So that's the main reason. It's for security reasons. But yeah, so that might be something that we look at again in future. There might be other ways to do that we're able to do. So we'll see. We will see. Nick says, it's an amazing example of how customer service should be handled. You guys talk to us, to your users. Yes, we always listen to our users. Amazing work, Keith. No, again, not me. I cannot take any of the credit. I'll sit here and say thank you on behalf of the team, of course, because they have worked very hard on this. But yes, I shall not. Can you do a run through? Paddy wants me to get on with it. Fine. That was a while ago, and I will get back to those. Fine. Let's go back to my list of stuff then, Paddy. EQ. Sorry, I'm not being really mean. EQ on effects return. So this was requested a lot, and you'll see all of these things that were requested a lot came through our digital community, and this one was quite high up on the list. So there's a couple of changes in the effects screen. Firstly, this whole section has shifted down, and the mutable effects goes to the top because we've got now 4 tabs at the top. So it was just a nicer layout. So previously there was a sends to, which showed you all of your contributions to that effects unit for any shared effects unit. So that's still there. That still exists. It's just called inputs now because it shows you inputs. You've got the control, which is the default, as you saw when I went to the screen, and that gives you all your effects control. And then coming after that, so it comes after the effects unit, you've got a 2-band PEQ. So this is like the LF and HF bands on any of the input channels. Works in exactly the same way. You can also use them as shelves or filters. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I've quite classically, you might do something like that on like a delay or I don't know. You might want to chop out some in the middle. But yeah, it just gives you lots more options. And then coming after that, actually, we've also added in outputs. So this makes it really easy in terms of setting up your effects, that you don't have to jump between screens. You can do everything from the effects screen. So if you're thinking about effects, you can just say, okay, what do I want to send to this effects unit? I want to send input 12 to it. Great. I want that to be massive and filtered. And now where do I want to hear it? So this is a duplicate of the screen that you would find in your effects tab here, in your sends. So if I move that one up there and go back over here, you can see it's gone up over there as well. So it's the same thing, same controls, but it just means that you can do it all from one screen, which is very nice. All right, let's do some of the big features because I realize, Paddy, and I'm sure that's why people are getting bored of me waffling on. Let's look at mute groups. All right. So you may have noticed an extra tab. We had to shave off pixels of all of these little MIDI faders and shift them all across to squeeze in this for the custom layer, and also this extra tab. So this extra magical tab is always available, and this is all your mute groups and DCAs. So a little strip of mute groups. You've got 4 mute groups and you've got 4 DCAs, and they've got mutes as well. So in effect, you can have 8 lots of mute groups, or 8 lots of things grouped that can be muted. More accurately. This does nothing until you've assigned something to it. So let's go and set some stuff up. In fact, I'm going to go back to a quick start and I'll do that. Okay, that looks good. Looks good. Right, so setup for this is in control. So config, control network. And I can go to my mute groups. So my first mute group is going to be drums. So when it's selected on the left-hand side here, I can tap on that again and I can rename it drums. Excellent. And now I just assign them by just touching them. There you go. So that's all my drums in one mute group. And let's do another mute group that is, I don't know. Let's do effects. Yeah. All right. Effects. Beautiful. And that's going to be all my effects units. Actually, no, I'm going to save effects. I'm going to do effects with DCA later. Let's do Fox. Yeah. Right. Okay, there's my vocals. And you can see that the little number there is showing. So any channel can be assigned to one mute group at a time, and one DCA. So there's the 4 mute groups there. It'll show you the little number. The current one is highlighted. So if I go into another one, you can see that it still says 444, 11111. And now that those are set up and named, if I go back into either my fader screen, I can see those 2 mute groups here, or in my processing screen as well. I can then use those mutes, and you'll see it all light up over here. Another little nicety that we've got in 1.2, actually, which I can point out now, is that all faders, when muted, all fader caps will go red. So you know that channel is muted, even if, for example, you're in faders only mode. It's very nice, very nice. So the logic, I need to explain the logic of this because it works the same on the DCAs as well. So let's just do it now and you'll see it in action. You can mute and unmute any of the channels that are in a mute group at any time. And the mute group will only light up if all of them are muted. When all of them are muted, you can use the mute group to unmute them all again. So if I'm just doing that, that works just like all of our other mute groups. If I go in and unmute one of these, you'll see that the little red dot went off there. And even if I remute it, it now knows that all of them are muted again. No, I don't want to baffle Tom 3. So I could unmute these. And if I go back here and mute this again, because some of them are not muted, the first thing it's going to do is mute all of them again. And then I can unmute all of them again. So it makes sense. I'm probably not explaining it brilliantly, but it does mean that you could have a mute group that mutes everything, for example, and then you could just use that, set it up on a soft key or a foot switch, use that to mute everything and just unmute the channels you want. If you've got, like, I don't know, a open mic night or something where you just want to keep opening up different guitars and mics and bongos and washboards and whatever you've got going on. Cool. All right. I'm going to do in the same breath. Let's have a look at the DCAs because they're kind of similar in some of their logic as well, and exactly the same for setup. So DCAs. Let's go and set up a DCA, and we'll do that effects one. I'm going to use DCA 4. So same process. I can touch any of these once to select it, touch it again to rename it, and this one's going to be effects. And let's put all my effects in there, and it's a different color, so you know you're looking at DCAs rather than mute groups. Go over to my processing screen, actually, and now I can see that it's named in my processing screen, and the members of that group are also listed. If I select one of these, I can control the DCA over here. You'll see that moving at the top. And let's do another one for... what should I do one for? Backline, drums. I don't know. Let's do drums. Drums. drum. Well, it's plural, Keith, but you know, we won't be too harsh. It's not a real gig. Okay, so you can see I've got the members there, and I can adjust the level if I do that, if I press the right buttons. And what will happen now is I'll get, in fact, I need to move it a little bit more just so you can actually see that. What I'll get is a little marker. There you go. And you should be able to see that little bow tie marker, as we keep referring to it in-house. And that shows you the actual send level. So the way DCAs work is the actual output level to the main left-right mix is an addition of this fader, so your channel fader, your input channel fader, and the DCA fader. So if I set that DCA fader to minus 20 dB, the actual output from any of the drums in this case, but anything that's a member of that DCA group, the actual output will be whatever this is, minus 20 dB. So if I set this to 0, you'll see it stays 0 at the bottom. There you go. So now the actual output is minus 20 dB. So that's kind of how DCAs work. And like I said, the mute groups work in the same way. So because I've assigned all of these to a mute group, this is stupid. Nobody would ever need to do this. But just for example, the mute group 1 is drums, and also the DCA 1 is drums. So because they're all muted, both of those are illuminated. I can unmute it from here. I could remute them all from here. I can just, do it whichever way around I like. And again, the same logic works, that if any of them are unmuted, this is not muted, etc., etc. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to see if there's any questions on the mute groups and DCAs. I'm going to scan through some of these. I'm not going to be able to get to all your questions. I'm really sorry. There's lots and lots. Is it possible? No. I'm looking for questions. Oh my goodness, there's so many questions. Okay. I feel bad when I can't answer them all. No, I think it's okay. Can we have bow ties on SQ2, please? Says Daniel. Well, it's one of the beauties actually with CQ is that it doesn't have faders. So we could make little tiny bow ties. We'd have to build a second motorized fader, and a little tiny motorized bow tie. But yeah, having faders on screen does mean that we can offer this quite nicely on the CQ. Bit more difficult on the SQ, but yeah, maybe I'll have a go, see if we can do it. Kevin says DCA should start at Unity. Fast typing there. Good. Should it start at Unity? Yeah. Why not? Yeah, start at Unity. So personally, I use DCAs a lot for either driving stuff on the large consoles into things, but always, whenever I've got them, I will use them for effects, which is probably why, out of habit, I just shoved effects on the last DCA. And the reason for that is that this is controlling the level going into the effects units. So instead of at the end of a music track, if people are talking in between numbers and audience interaction and all that, I would just use DCA fader and just pull it down. Because instead of it just being a complete cut at the end of the song, I'm just like fading it down. It also means I can ride that at any time and affect the overall effects balance. So if things are getting noisier and I want less effects, perhaps maybe I pull it down, and vice versa. I can bring it up in other points. Is the DCA muting pre-sends? So muting is muting. If the channel is muted, it will not go anywhere, Tom. So the DCA mute works in exactly the same way as the mute group mutes, and they work in exactly the same way as if you muted all of the channels individually. In that, it will be muted. It will just be muted. You won't hear it anywhere, which is very handy when someone starts blowing up a mic or something. Lee Smith says, I've had problems copying a channel with all its settings to paste to another. Is this possible? I will try and remember to show you that after, because we've just got a couple more things of the 1.2. But yes, it's just copy paste from the drop down box. I can't help myself. I'm going to just show you really quickly because it won't take a second. Right, let's get this one. So that's lead guitar, and I want to put that one over there, so I can just do copy all processing, paste all processing. There you go. It's that simple. Great. All right, let's get rid of that. Any more questions on mute groups and DCAs? Yes, the mute group does mute all of it. Taphack, can you put the effects sound on mute group or DCA mute? Yes, Jalon. So yes, the effects, when you mute them, you will be muting. I'll show you this button here. So if I mute that DCA there, you'll see that all of them are muted. And then it depends on whether or not you have your trails on or off for that particular unit as to whether or not you will hear the trails. So that's the kind of reverb trails or delays. Talk about MIDI. Talk about MIDI. Talk about MIDI. All right, fine. MIDI came about in 1982. Dave Smith, RIP, got a lot of people together in a room, and no, I realize that's not what you mean. So MIDI, yeah, all right. We'll have a quick look at MIDI. Over on my other screen here, hopefully you'll be able to see, is the resource part of our website, and you can select your mixer here. So I've selected CQ18T. And there is an updated user guide. So all the stuff that I'm going through today, you can check that out on the website. You get here by going to support and then downloads. MIDI protocol. So this is new. This went up yesterday. And this is what it looks like. A bit like the user guide. So I'll give you a brief overview of the MIDI. So we've got MIDI control. In fact, you can see it in the contents here. So MIDI control in CQ is for scene changes, soft keys, so you can control soft keys remotely, which if you're inventive means that you can control all kinds of things remotely just by sending a note on-off message. You can control all of the mutes if you want to automate mutes. While you're reading that, I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. Here we go. Creaky chair. You can control levels, of course, which is very handy. So you can control levels that send levels from any input to any output. And then you've got panning balance. So that's going to any of the stereo outputs, stereo linked outputs on the main, left, right. And then you can also get values as well. So if you are doing installs with this, for example, maybe you want to program something up so that you can receive values. So you can request a value and it will send it back. And for all of this, we're using NRPN messages, which is non-registered parameter numbers. And these look like 4cc messages. So if you go and find this document, this will talk you through every separate message. It also gives you some examples of the messages in hex. And there is a table in there to convert from decimal to hex or hex to decimal, depending on what you want to use. But you can send these messages out from things like QLab. So say you were doing theatre stuff, you can send messages out from that. You could also just record these. You don't have to know what these are. You could just record a MIDI track from the CQ into your DAW and just record a bunch of automation and then just play it back. Just send it straight back. And this does work over USB, so it's USB MIDI. And also over the network. So there is an update to the ANH MIDI control driver. ANH MIDI control is free download, and we're up to version 2.10. So you can get that from our website, and that allows you to connect to any of our digital consoles over a network and over the network port. And there's a couple of cool things in there. So you can do a MIDI through, and you can use these NLPM messages that we were looking at there. There's also put together by the wonderful Alex Skinner. Thanks, Alex Skinner. CC translator options. So that's really cool because it allows you to not have to know all of the NLPN numbers here. You can just send it CC messages. So if you've got a standard MIDI controller, you can hook that up route it through using your DAW or something, and then send those messages straight through without having to learn all of this. And having to map everything yourself. It does the mapping and translation for you. And as I mentioned earlier, but in case anybody wasn't here, there's also the Bone Box, which is a standalone unit that works with Allen Heath digital consoles over a network connection, and there will be an update for CQ for that. And that would allow you to connect up, and that does all the translation and everything else. It's also got Wi-Fi in it, so you'll be able to hook it up over Wi-Fi, or connect it up via a network cable to the CQ, and you could plug in USB MIDI controllers and translate those messages to anything you like to control anything you want on the mixer. So you could have a bunch of faders, of course, or you could have a bunch of mutes if you've got buttons on your controller. So yeah, there's lots of stuff you can do there. I probably need to do a whole other live stream on it, and we'll get in depth with the really super geeky people, because other people... who was shouting at me about it? I can't remember now. Other people want to hear about custom layer, because I've realised that I haven't talked about that yet, and we're getting very close to running too long. So let's have a look at custom layer. So in the processing and fader screens, you have 4 little tabs here, and these are the little bank views. So they show you 8 channel strips at a time, or 8 channels at a time. So there's 8 slots in there. And then you've got the new mute group DCA. So the mute group DCA always stays there. And these other 4 can be set up however you like. So you can switch to custom mode by just pressing the custom button. Now you see nothing's changed, and that's because by default, the custom layer and the standard layer are exactly the same. So if you did accidentally hit that and you hadn't set anything up, you just go and carry on as normal, and it'd be absolutely fine. If you do want to go and set up your own thing, though, in fact, let's just leave that in custom for a second. The next one along in the config screen is custom layer. So this is really quick and easy to set up. It's 2 touches for each thing. So you just select the slot, and then you select what you want to put there. That is actually definitely where I want my kick. I'm going to put in, because we did some drum stuff, didn't we? So did I end up doing a drum DCA, or did I kill it? I did do one. Okay, fine. I'm going to put a drum DCA at the end here. So that is my drum DCA. And now if I go over to my custom there, you can see the DCA is just sat there on the end, which is nice. So that means I can see all of my little bow ties moving around, which is handy. So that's my one fader to rule them all. I can also put in the mute group thing wherever I want. So there's a little thing. I get my little 4 mute groups. There you go. So I can get that in there wherever I want. And I can set this up to be anything, anywhere. So let's say I had a microphone. This is just a singer-songwriter tonight, but and they've got that, and they've got and they're playing some rhythm guitar, but also they've got a Bluetooth input, and I might play some backing off USB. And I don't need all of these effects, do I really? Let's just put some empties in there, and then I'll have my now I'll just have my effects DCA on the end. There you go. Jobs are good. So that's now set up, ready to go. I can unmute all of my effects. I can add in all my effects. And I've just got the vocal, guitar, Bluetooth, and USB. So that's custom layer. Pretty good, isn't it? Pretty handy. Joe just got their CQ18T yesterday. Congratulations. What a day to get it on the launch of V1.2. You'll never know 1.1, I'm afraid, but there you go. All right, let's see. I'm going to jump back through now. That's most of the features. Like I say, I'll do another stream on MIDI, but I'm going to see if there's any questions now relating to what's been going on. There's a lot. There is a lot. I'm just going to have to pick random ones. George Cumby says, need to be able to raise recording gain, never high enough to be suitable. Also design what output feeds recorder. So George, the output level, and we do get this with all of our digital consoles, because it sends the output as is from the core. It's not like analog where you really need to like get that input level super high. You've already got it super clean and at the right level. So it's coming straight off the core. It's not that it's coming off low. You've actually got 18 dB of headroom there. So 0 dB on the meter is equal to plus 4 dBu on a line output, and it's also equal to minus 18 dBFS in a DAW. So you've got 18 dB of headroom in your DAW. You don't have to get up to minus 6 dB or whatever. If you did raise that level, you're not gaining anything. You're not going to benefit from raising that level at the CQ or at the computer because it's digital signal. So if you raise it at the computer, it's exactly the same. So you can do it later, but it's much safer to do it later in the computer because with that 18 dB of headroom, if somebody smashes a snare really hard or whatever, it's not going to peak and clip. And if it does that, you can't undo it. You can't get rid of that. So that's the reason for it. There are ways around it if you want to trade off. So if you want to trade off that headroom, so say you're doing a stream, that's a really classic example. If you're doing a stream and you want a stereo output to be a much hotter or much louder output to go out to your computer for a stream, you can use the compressor. I will show you now. That is, let's go back here so I know what's going on. So you've got a makeup gain. That makeup gain is 18 dB. So you can crank it past 0 dB, right up to 18 dB. You can also set the ratio of this to infinity. So you can kind of cap it off and then use the gain in the compressor. You have to switch it on, of course. Use the gain of the compressor to boost that output just for that output. So if you're recording multi-track, then definitely keep the headroom because it's much safer. If you're doing something like streaming or you really want to get that hot signal, you can do it with the compressor. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, great news. Okay, there's people arguing about me waffling on. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry to all those people. Let's see if there's any more questions about any of the features we looked at today. Of course, there's loads of other stuff in this update. Loads of little updates here and there, fixes, improvements. Today, we're really just covering all the main bits. 90%, Paddy says 90% of these questions are not relevant to the features of 1.2. Yes. That's what I'm trying to pick out through all of these to look at 1.2. Are you able to send Oh, the other part of that question I've just realized was the patching of the outputs. So you can do that in your DAW as well. It's sending all of those channels all the time. It's sending all your individual input channels at all times. So you just pick them up in the DAW. You don't need to because it's sending all of the channels already. You don't need to be able to patch them, and in fact, it will get you in more of a mess, to be honest. Well, it would for me anyway, because I've got a tiny brain that can't deal with patching. I would send my is this one to do it? This is amazing update. Thank you. When I try to make some custom notes, the names of the channels not updated. The names given to them is. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, Robert's potentially found something going on with the names. Maybe that's to do with the names of the custom layers. Does it do with the names of the custom layers or the names of the channels? I don't know. But give us a shout and let us know about that, and we will look into it with you. I should have said you can rename all of these as well. So this one's going to be called Cool. Yeah, it's just cool. Yeah, cool. Okay, this is what it is. Oh yeah, I think I might just, rather than me going through all of these questions out, I might just sit and type responses on some of these. Obviously, the whole team here as well are going to be shouting at me, going, "Why have you got these questions?" And it's like, yes, and we shall answer them. We shall get back to them. All right, let's have a look. I tried. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up because I have been going on far too long. It's been going on for 46 minutes. So thank you very, very much for joining me today. I hope you all really enjoy CQ V1.2. We will do some more CQ Q&As at some point. I'll probably set up a little stream if you are really interested in the MIDI side of things. let us know. Just shout in the comments, and I'll set up another stream to look at that specifically. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thanks for having fun with me, and and hopefully it was useful. There are a load of new how-to videos on our YouTube channel, so check those out. That includes mute groups and DCAs and custom layer setup. So if you need a little refresher and you don't want to scan through 47 minutes of me going, then go to our YouTube channel. Otherwise, I shall see you again next time. Thank you.